Good day, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this event, to the IPMA Philippines, headed by Professor Roque Senga and Engineer Robert Perea. Also to PUP Open University, to Dr. Muhi, and the rest of the faculty members and organizers. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So our topic for today is very relevant and a much sought topic in the industry, in the building sector, which is the net zero. Let me begin with this graphical representation. This is the warming stripe. It is a graphical representation of the change in the global average temperature as measured over the past 100 years. So each stripe represents the average temperature over a year from 1850 to 2020. These warming stripes reminds us that we need an aggressive action towards climate change. So for the past 100 years, the global temperatures have increased by over 1.2 degrees Celsius. This means that in a very short span of time, we are altering our planet's climate. We have seen the rising sea level, extreme weather patterns, decline in the polar ice caps, forest fires, intense drought in some areas, and even strong typhoons. To give you a brief of explanation about global warming, I would like to show you some of the short slides. See here, most of the radiation coming from the sun is being absorbed by the earth in order to warm our planet. And that is necessary for us to survive. So without the certain level of carbon that blankets our planet, we will be all freezing up. Then some of this energy is being radiated back into the space by Earth in the form of infrared waves. Some of this outgoing infrared radiation is trapped by the Earth's atmosphere, and these trapped infrared radiations again are necessary for us to survive. But we as humans has introduced additional carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide per se is not bad at all. Without it, we will not have the right amount of temperature in our planet. No organism will survive without carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. However, an excess of carbon dioxide is bad for our planet. So we have introduced additional carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere, and that in turn traps more infrared radiation in the atmosphere, and that causes the global warming. The largest source of global warming pollution is the burning of fossil fuels. The graph shows you how the carbon emission has increased gradually from 1850 until 2019. So there is a study that says that we are spewing 152 million tons of man-made global warming pollution into the thin shell of our atmosphere every 24 hours. Imagine 152 million tons of carbon emission. According to IPCC, or the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, it is unequivocal that human influence has warmed the atmosphere, ocean, and the land, and widespread rapid changes in the atmosphere, ocean, cryosphere, and biosphere have occurred. For the past decades, we actually never breached the 300 parts per million atmospheric carbon dioxide level. However, during the pre-industrial revolution, there was a sudden increase in the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. At present, we are at 416.87 parts per million. So our existence is at risk. We are currently on a climate crisis. If we continue to ignore and act less on our climate, these climate events will be increasing in frequency and as well in severity. So we have a shared vision, a vision that is to meet the Paris Agreement objective to limit the global warming or average global temperature to about 1.5 degrees Celsius or less. We have all the evidences that is clear that the negative impact of these climate change. So why 1.5 degrees Celsius matters? Because if we are going to meet that 1.5 degrees Celsius, there will be a lot of atmospheric temperature rise. So such as in Australia, it has recorded the highest temperature of all time in their area, as well as in Ghana, in Europe in 2019, then in Siberia. There are also impacts of rare thunderstorms. This one is in US Gulf Coast. Then super cyclones also. We have also experienced super typhoons. If you can remember Typhoon Haiyan, which devastated our country. Then the challenge also when it comes to having both the pandemic and the strong cyclones or typhoons in areas. Then we have forest fires such as this one in Australia. The decline of the ice mass in Greenland, which is gradual on a year-on-year basis. Then severe air pollution, which is according to the study of in China in 324 cities, found that 15 to 22% increase in COVID-19 cases in areas wherein there is an elevated NO2 and also particulate matters 2.5. Also, there is also a risk of losing 50% of all land-based species in this century because of climate change. So these are the costs of carbon. So we have drought, storm damage, species extinction, water scarcity, the ecosystem loss. So the list goes on and on. And climate change is the #1 threat to the global economy. So the question right now is, how can we meet the objective of the Paris Agreement to limit the 1.5 degrees Celsius or less? So we have opportunities. we can look into several sectors. We can look into our industrial sector, the agricultural sector, and the transportation sector in order to limit the the carbon emissions. Then another sector that we can look into is the built environment. As we have known that the built environment is responsible for almost 40% of the global energy and process-related carbon emissions. So, and also over the next 35 years, there will be 2.5 trillion square feet which will be constructed and renovated. That is according to Architecture 2030. And if my calculation is correct, that area is equivalent to around 5,400 Metro Manila. So kindly if you can correct me if I'm wrong with that kind of calculation. So for the built environment, we need to reach net zero emissions across and decarbonize our building sector. The goal is for all new buildings to operate at net zero by 2030, and all existing buildings must operate at net zero carbon. This is according to the World Green Building Council for their program, the Advancing Net Zero. So around the world, we have several net zero programs in accordance to the World Green Building Council Advancing Net Zero. In Philippines, we have the Net Zero Energy, which was spearheaded by Philippine Green Building Council and was launched this year, last April, I believe. So there are a lot of definitions of net zero out there, but basically the principle is the same, the main goal is the same, and that is to transform the built environment that will support the circular economy through net zero design and operation. The NZEB or net zero energy definition for buildings is that it is more focused on the operational carbon, that is the total energy consumed by the building must come through renewable energy sources, either on-site or off-site, while the net zero carbon accounts for both the embodied carbon of the materials as well as the operational carbon of the building. So we will discuss these two later in our presentation. So carbons in the buildings are accounted as operational carbon, that is the energy consumed, and the embodied carbon from the materials used in the building, whether it is for new constructions or through retrofit programs. So net zero is an emerging topic in the building sector as it provides several benefits apart from supporting the circular economy and some of the UN Sustainable Development Goals or the UN SDGs. The net zero projects are durable and comfortable in the sense that it has less issues when it comes to air leakages, as the envelope is well taken into consideration. It also supports health and resiliency, taking advantage of, for example, the daylight to connect building users to nature, the use of renewables rather than a reliance to the fossil fuels makes it more resilient infrastructure. The net zero projects provides a sense of ownership when it comes to energy consumption and opens a better engagement when it comes to issues on climate change. Net zero projects also are stable and are considered low risk investment due to savings which comes from the energy consumed by the building. and it also appeals to a broad spectrum of people based on their interest in renewables, as well as the efficiency of buildings and the interest on how it feels to live in a net zero building. It creates also opportunities for local learning and advocacy through clean energy and circular economy principles. And as much as it can, it creates a market transformation again to adopt cleaner energy to the facility. And because the net zero is in line with circularity or circular economy, it can boost local economy by opening new job opportunities, such as the installation of renewable sources like solar PVs, wind wind turbines. Also, it opens opportunities in terms of maintenance of these new energy sources. So one of there are several themes in net zero projects. One of the theme here is about the integrative process. So the integrative process is the center of the success for achieving the net zero. One characteristic of an integrative process is to have a pre-design or a design charrette, which is an intensive workshop wherein the stakeholders and experts addressed a particular design issue. So it is a focused multi-day session using collaborative approach to creating realistic, achievable design ideas. So early on in the project team has to discuss the relevance of the energy conservation measures or the energy efficiency measures that needs to be adopted in the project. So again, charrette is just one of the tools that the project team needs to accomplish as part of the integrative process. The initial charrette is a very important step, as it provides the project team to solidify their goals on the project, look into different innovative ideas, design decisions, taking into considerations the special requirements for a net zero project. Then also identifying what are the synergies that the project team can benefit from, such as having daylighting in the space. Also integrating the whole team, from the owner to the design team, and also to the execution team, the construction team, as well as getting feedback from the building users as early as the pre-design phase. Then another theme in net zero is the in-depth understanding of the basic building science. So it is very important for the project team to understand the basic of building science, the massing, the orientation of the building, how the orientation of the building will affect the energy consumption, learning about the sun path, how the sun path will guide the project team on whether which side of the building will have a thicker glazing, which part of the building will have the less thick glazing, and which of the side of the building will require shading and protection from glare. So another theme for net zero project is about the incorporation of software tools for analytical decision making. In typical in a net zero project, there is a dynamic energy model that will guide the project team in terms of decision making. For example, there is an alternative material that needs to be considered due to cost consideration. So before approving this material, it has to be simulated, or it has to be entered. The values for this material has to be entered in the energy model to simulate what will be the impact of this material to the overall energy performance of the project. Then also with regards to the active engagement of the owners and tenants, this is very important. It's not just about design control, but also operational control. So when we say design control, we clearly put controls that will help the tenants or the owners or the users to minimize the energy consumption, such as motion control for lighting systems, so that whenever there is no occupant within the space, the our lights will turn off automatically. So these are some of the um, design control. But in terms of operational control, there should be a clear policy, a clear procedures on how the uh, the building will be operated, how it will be programmed, and how the building occupant should respond to the net zero requirement. The net zero projects are highly performance based, so it doesn't stop on designing or meeting the net zero on paper on the design, but the true measure of the net zero performance is during operations. So another theme in a net zero project is with regards to the measurement of heat losses and also about thermal breaching. So in this illustration, in this photo, this is an example of one of my project wherein we conducted a thermal imaging on the envelope of the building. That is to ensure that there is no air leakages, and as well as thermal leakages on the facade of the building. Another theme for the net zero project is with regards to energy use intensity or the energy end uses. The project team has to identify what are the energy end uses, such as the pumps, cooling, the HVAC, the heating loads, lighting loads, plug loads, fans. The project team has to determine as well the base energy use intensity. To define EUI or the energy use intensity, it is the amount of energy per area per year. So it is a measure of the energy consumption of the building on specific energy consumption of the building. A baseline has to be established for the EUI in order to compare the proposed case or the improved energy savings or energy performance of the building. Then we have also another theme which is common to net zero projects, wherein there's no net zero energy project or net zero building in the world that doesn't do a performance testing. and this is the envelope commissioning. Here we have conducted a blower door test. That is to pressurize the space in order to meet a certain pressure and determine the air leakages or air leakage rate of the building. So this is very important to achieving the net zero target of the project. These are some of the characteristics of net zero projects. Most of the net zero projects. One is the incorporation of daylighting. If daylighting is properly designed in the space, then there will be a huge amounts of energy savings through lighting that the project team can gain. Then we have also operable and adaptable envelope. There are glazing which changes its opaqueness whenever it sends a glare outside the building. Then we have also high performance glazing. Usually most of the net zero projects incorporate or install triple glazing, some double glazing. So these are high performance or high efficiency glass in the building. Then most important also is the continuous exterior insulations, as well as reduced penetrations and advanced wall assemblies that will address thermal bridging and also heat losses within the envelope of the building. Then we have also the air sealing requirements, wherein we need to minimize air leakages and pass the envelope commissioning after the project has been completed. Then we have use of daylight tubes and other mixed mode systems. The daylight tubes are old technologies, but it is gaining popularity in order to save energy through lighting. Then mixed mode systems, combination between mechanical ventilation and as well as natural ventilation. The use of electric fan or ceiling fan can be a good strategy that you can find in some of the net zero projects in order to promote air movement and promote thermal comfort. Then we have also real-time data measurements through dashboard, because as we have known that net zero projects are highly performance-based projects. It doesn't stop on the design stages or during construction, but the true measure of its performance will be on the operation sites. Then we have also using of heat recovery ventilators and energy recovery systems in our HVAC, high efficiency mechanical systems, and of course the renewable incorporation of renewable energy in the project, or sometimes the incorporation of offsetting the carbon emissions or the energy use through the use of renewable energy certificates in the project. To achieve net zero, project team has to follow the efficiency first approach. That is, before adding renewables, the project must ensure that it is highly efficient. First, passive strategies. An example of this one is checking the orientation, massing, introducing daylighting in the project. Then after that one, after passive, we need to look into the energy conservation measures. What are the equipment? What are the highly efficient equipment that we need to install in the project? Then after achieving the targeted efficiency, of the building, the targeted EUI of the building, then that's the time we need to add renewables in order to offset the amount of energy that will be used by the project in order to achieve the net zero or the net zero target of the project. So the path to net zero must start with a baseline, that is to determine the energy use intensity, or the UI, as defined as the amount of energy per floor area annually. So from the baseline AUI, we have to implement energy efficiency measures or energy conservation measures. We need to look into the envelope of the building, the HVAC, the water supply, the lighting, the plug loads. So once we implement this kind of, or once we determine these energy conservation measures or energy efficiency measures, then we will be arriving at a zero energy ready project. Then from the zero energy project, this is the UI here is the proposed case or the improved case of the project. So this is the time that what we are saying a while ago, that we need to add the renewable energy sources. So a combination of on-site and off-site renewable energy may be taken as a consideration. We can consider the off-site renewable energy if the on-site renewable energy is not enough to offset the remaining amount of energy that will be consumed by the building. So in this case, an offset renewable energy might be required in order to achieve the net zero target for the project. There are of course barriers, still challenges when it comes to net zero. Even if net zero is perceived to provide greater benefits in terms of the triple bottom line, and also achieving the 2030 and 2050 goals, and promote circular economy. So here are some of the barriers to net zero as adopted based on the study conducted by USGBC in 6 zero energy projects in 2019. Some of the barriers includes limitations in technology. We have regulations, perceived high upfront cost, as well as the competent workforce or personnel, knowledgeable workforces when it comes to achieving the net zero from the design, construction, and even during operations and maintenance of the building. But the net zero projects provides greater benefits in terms of the triple bottom line. These are some of the common tools in net zero projects. Just take note that these are not a complete list. These are some of the important tools that you can usually encounter in a net zero project. Apart from the usual project management tools during the execution, during the design of the of projects around the world. So these are tools necessary in order to achieve success in net zero projects. We have the building information management, which is common to every project. Energy simulation tools such as IES, Design Builder, Equest, Energy Plus. We have also renewable simulation tools such as the PVSYST or System Advisor Model by NREL, or PBWatts for solar PVs. We have also climate analysis, the CFD analysis or the computational fluid dynamic analysis, solar shading analysis or solar shading tools. Then we have also the daylight simulation and the life cycle assessment softwares in order to determine the embodied carbon of products that will be introduced in the building. There are also several certification programs currently being used around the world. Some of the popular certification programs for net zero are the ILFI or the Living Future Institute's Zero Energy certifications, the Zero Carbon certifications. USGBC has launched also Lead Zero, wherein they categorize Lead Zero for energy, Lead Zero for carbon, Lead Zero for water, and Lead Zero for waste. Then we have also the Climate Positive from the German Green Building Council. Then EDGE, which is the Excellence in Design for Greater Efficiency by the International Finance Corporation. They launched also the EDGE Zero Carbon certification. Of course, the PhilGBC or the Philippine Green Building Council has launched their net zero scheme certification last April 2021. So with this kind of certification, it is always possible that in order to maintain or to gain global recognition, and also for the purpose of verifying by a third-party certifying body that your project is truly a net zero project. So you might be encountering this one or two of these or all of these certifications in your project. So again, it is very important as a project manager, as a project practitioner, or a stakeholder for a net zero project to know the principles or the requirements of these certifications, because these certifications will determine or it will provide guidance to the project team on how to achieve net zero, the net zero target with the aid of a third-party certifying body for your project. So some of the net zero projects around the world. This one is not my project. This is the Unisphere in Maryland. This is a 210,000 square foot elliptical shape building. This is considered as the largest site-powered net zero commercial building in US. It has around 3,000 photovoltaic panels, which can generate around 1,175 megawatt hour of energy per year. That is enough to power 100 homes. Then we have also the NUS, or the National University of Singapore. This is the first net zero energy building in Singapore. It has 1,225 photovoltaics on the roof, and it has a hybrid cooling system which help in lowering the energy consumption of the building. It also incorporates passive design in their facility. So this one is another net zero project that this is in Dubai. This is wherein I am personally involved with. It has 20,000 square meters of roof solar PV that will generate more than 6 gigawatt hour per year of energy. It has approximately 66,000 square meters of office spaces, and will house 5,000 occupants. It is also targeting LEED Platinum, WELL certification, Park Smart, and also the ILFI Zero certification. To end this presentation, I would like to leave you this message from Dean Gadal. So every day you live, you impact the planet. So I hope that as project managers, project practitioners, as part of the project team, whether you are in the stay in design phase of the project, or in the construction stage or the operational part, then we have to always think of our planet. We have to think always addressing the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. Thank you so much, and good day.